Hello guys, this is Shuel and here are my top 10 movies of 2018. 2018 was a very rough year. We started off nicely with Black Panther and a couple of movies here and there, but the majority of the mainstream movies were horrible this year. A lot of the blockbusters weren't good, aside from the Marvel movies, which are always good, but I really had a hard time enjoying any of the big, major theater releases. So I just went on and started discovering these small indie movies, and I ended up with a fair amount of movies to make up a nice top 10 list. Number 10 is Leave No Trace. This movie is about a man and his daughter who are trying to survive in a natural reserve park. Questions like how and why they ended up there isn't the focus of the movie at all. The characters were very believable. There's barely any dialogue in this movie. However, the acting and the atmosphere of the movie just blew me away, and this is something that not a lot of people watched, and I would recommend it a lot because even though the movie's slow and it's not for everyone, I think people should just check it out. Number 9 is BlacKkKlansman. This is a Spike Lee mainstream movie. This movie does a good blend of catering towards the people who love Oscar dramas and people who love buddy cop comedies. It's a good blend of both of these. There's laughs here and there. It's about the first African American detective to work at the Colorado Police Department, and he also gets involved with the KKK, and it's based on a true story. There's so much about this movie. There's Oscar buzz around it, and I think it's worth it. Number 8 is Searching. This was a big surprise for me because I went into this movie thinking that this is going to be a nice concept and something fun to watch. It's a movie about a dad investigating his daughter's disappearance, and it takes place entirely on a laptop screen. It's this new thing that directors have been dabbling with called Screen Life, where the majority of the movie takes place on a laptop monitor or a laptop screen. We've seen this before in the Unfriended movies, but not nearly as good as this movie. And I felt like I was with the main character investigating the disappearance of his daughter. It was so effective, and I would recommend everyone to watch this movie. Number 7 is Incredibles 2. When the first Incredibles came out, 9-year-old me was obsessed. I went and watched it in theaters, and I had action figures, I had all the merch I could put my hands on. I was obsessed about this movie, and because of nostalgic reasons alone, I have this movie in the number 7 spot. Oh, the movie was really good. The reason I love the first movie is the family dynamic and how the superhero have a very regular, normal life when they go back at home, and it kind of shows you the mundane life of a superhero. Well, a lot of people love Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and consider it to be their favorite animated movie this year. However, from my opinion, this was it. And I still loved Spider-Man. And if this was a list of 20 movies, it would be, in the 13th. Somewhere in there. Number 6 is 8th Grade. If you were ever bullied in your life, in school, this movie, you're gonna relate to this movie. This movie puts you in the eyes of a teenager living this day and age, when, their biggest bully is the media and how they portray growing up and being a teenager and how that contradicts how you're living your life. After watching this movie, I needed a couple of days of recovery because it just brought me back to memories I would not want to remember. Captured 8th Grade very well. And I know this was a smaller movie. Lots of people talked about it. It has a high Rotten Tomatoes score, but still, lots of people haven't watched it yet. So check it out, it's fun, especially if you went to school. Everyone can relate to this one. My number 5 pick is Ready Player One. We live in a day and age where augmented reality and virtual reality is the next big thing. So having a movie about this isn't far from reality. Because of that, Steven Spielberg decided to adapt this novel called Ready Player One. Lots of people did not like this movie because it wasn't 100% faithful to the book, and there was a couple of things altered for the movie, and a lot of people just called it generic. But me personally, I think this movie was super fun. It was literally a thrilling ride. I felt like I was at one of those Universal Studios ride, but with a better story. This movie is filled with Easter eggs. Every time I watch this movie, I discover new Easter eggs, and it's always fun to watch this movie. And my number 4 pick for the best movie of the year is Roma. This is a black and white movie. It's directed by the guy who did Gravity, Alfonso Cuarón, and it's a Netflix movie. So all 3 of these things, besides being a Netflix movie, screams that this is quality movie making, and everyone has been saying that. Well, let me tell you this movie was worth the hype. It's slow, so it takes its time to develop and actually make sense. The first hour is more of an artistic view. At the beginning, you just kind of get used to the black and white and get used to the camera angles that Alfonso uses. and it takes a little bit of time for you to get into the story, and by the time you hit the 1 hour and 15-minute mark, it just starts getting interesting from there, and you've already like developed a sense whether you like these characters or not, and you actually have an idea of who they are, and it just goes from there to being a very good movie. If you're watching this movie, I would really recommend you to wait on it and, you know, watch it in one sitting. This came out December 14th on Netflix, so everyone can watch it, unless you don't have Netflix, but give it a watch. And my number 3 pick is American Animals. This is about 4 college students who decide to do the dumbest thing ever and steal the rarest books in their school's library. This is based on a true story, so the movie goes back and forth between the people who actually did the heist, the actual students, and the actors playing the characters and the scenes from the movie. So it kind of feels at certain points like it's an actual documentary, which is not a surprise because the actual director comes from a background of documentary movies. The editing was so enjoyable. They had a couple of clever scenes here and there, and they kind of go through the story from the perspective of each one of the guys who are in the heist, and every single one of them has a different point of view of how this actual story went on. So it's interesting to see different people's perspectives in one movie. And I think not a lot of movies explored that kind of idea, and it was kind of fresh to me. My number 2 pick is Blind Spotting. This is another one that was a big surprise for me. I watched it at home, and just throughout this movie I was like, wait, this movie should not be this good. It's mostly about a bond of 2 childhood friends and how they grew up, and you know, they went on different paths, but they keep, you know, sticking together. There's so much that happens with this movie story-wise, but what it boils up to at the very end is loyalty and friendship. And before getting to my number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions. Avengers Infinity War, Sorry to Bother You, Black Panther, The Miseducation of Cameron Post, Tully was very good. Bohemian Rhapsody, Under the Silver Lake, First Reformed, Summer of '84. If you're a big fan of Stranger Things and, you know, the 80s vibe with kids on bicycles exploring mysteries, Summer of '84 is the movie to watch this year. Hotel Artemis, not a lot of people watched it, but I liked it, and it was kind of a guilty pleasure this year. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Revenge, The Oath, Destination Wedding, First Man, Christopher Robin, and a small animated movie called Smallfoot. And my number 1 movie of the year is A Quiet Place. This movie came out earlier this year, and ever since I watched this movie in theater, I was like, this is my number 1 movie. I watched around 140 movies this year, and I still thought that this was the best. And the reason behind me loving this movie, it's not because this movie's flawless. This movie has problems here and there, but the experience that I had in the theater was like nothing I've ever had before. The entire theater was quiet the entire time. Everyone was on the edge of their seat. And this was John Krasinski's directorial debut, and like Get Out reinvented Jordan Peele as a movie director and changed his life entirely. This is going to do the same for John Krasinski, and I think I'm already excited for his next installment and what he's going to direct next. And I just want to add the thing at the very end that him and Emily Blunt worked so well. Obviously they're married, that's why they have good chemistry, but I think sometimes couples don't have good chemistry on screen and it gets a little bit weird, but with them it was perfect. The family was amazing. This is my number 1 movie of the year, and I'm very proud of it, and I'll watch it over and over again, and I'll always recommend this movie to people. Soon I'm going to post a video of my top 5 guilty pleasures of 2018. I'm also going to post a video of the worst movies of 2018. And this video didn't contain any spoilers, and I didn't go in depth about the movies because I just didn't want to spoil them for you, because I do really care about these 10 that I'm talking about because it's my top 10 list. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. I've been off of YouTube for so long, and this is my sort of comeback. So if you enjoy this, like, subscribe, and please let me know in the comments if you disagree with any of my choices, or if you like them, or you could, you know, list your top 10 movies. Enjoy life and keep watching movies.